Medieval zombies? Seriously? Caitlin, you're gonna go with that clickbait title? Oh, it's not clickbait. They're real. They're real.
The Middle Ages were magic.
I get to work with a lot of interesting people, including Dr. Nancy Cacciola, professor of death, that is to say, medieval history, at UC San Diego. Her work on the relationship between the living and the dead in the Middle Ages was the inspiration for this video.
To begin, a tale of horror. An account from a Dominican preacher in the mid-13th century.
There once was a virgin. One night the virgin went to church to say her prayers. Laid out in the church was a dead man. The virgin did not fear the dead man. The devil, seeing this, jumped into the corpse and rose up, saying, "I will revenge myself." The terrified virgin grabbed a staff with a cross at the top and, hitting the dead man over the head, knocked the demon out of him. This is a preacher writing this, so he makes sure to emphasize that it's not a corpse really coming back to life, it's a demon putting on the corpse, like dress up. In fact, there are multiple stories in the 13th century of virgins going to church, happens to be a corpse there, devil climbs on in. It's not just man bodies that demons can enter. There are also accounts of demons entering female corpses to test and tempt pious men.
Hello, boys.
So the dead body is like a garment that different damned souls can try on. This follows the doctrine that come the resurrection at the end of time, the dead are going to need those bodies back to reunite with their spirits. And the devil using the corpse as a garment is somehow less terrifying than the alternative, which would be a real dead body coming to life and roaming around the countryside like But don't worry, that happened too. All over Europe. In fact, those accounts were far more popular and without the excuse of, oh, the devil made me do it. They were just dead people come back to life to do evil. They were like zombies, except they were actually worse than zombies because instead of being brainless and led by impulse, they actively wanted to do harm. A 12th century knight recounts an evil Welshman who died in his village. After 4 days of being dead, the guy gets up and starts wandering around the village, calling out the names of his neighbors, like, "What's up, Tina?" or medieval equivalent. When a villager heard their name, they would get sick, and then 3 days later, they would die. Many of these tales start to sound pretty similar. Number one, you got your bad guy living a bad life, like thieves or perverse priests, who then has a bad death, murder or suicide, and the evil, cantankerous vitality lives on in them after death. Number two, they wake up and come back into the town and there are dogs howling and following them because, you know, evil. And three, they try to go after someone they knew, like a family member or a mistress, and beat or smother them to death. Although, there's a story of a revenant that was a kindly baker who came back to help his wife knead the dough for bread. But I think she was pretty thanks, but no thanks on that offer. So what happened with the evil Welshman? Don't worry, the problem was solved when the knight chased him back to his grave and cleaved open his head down the middle. Now, chopping off the head is a good call in this case, but the only way to really get rid of the risen dead in your town is to dig them up and cremate them down to ashes. And since we know how much you'll need that body come the resurrection, you have to be doing something pretty messed up to get yourself cremated during this period of the Middle Ages. There are all kinds of stories of burying bodies in the river, burying bodies outside of town, binding up the limbs of a body so it can't get up and walk around. There was even a baby that was buried remotely, pierced through the heart for fear that, quote, the little infant would rise up and injure many. It was really only when the dead body had gone from the wet, decomposing stage to the dry, bone stage that you could actually relax. Bone zombies have never been that effective.
The Middle Ages were magic.
Hey kids, like a medieval revenant, I may be coming to terrorize your town. Come to the Smoke Gets in Your Eyes book tour in LA, Portland, Santa Cruz, Berkeley, Philadelphia, Manhattan, and Brooklyn. Dates below. Brought to you with support from People's Memorial Association and the Co-op Funeral Home, and donations from viewers like you.